I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-magob! It's time for the only news that matters. And with all the stories about how Metallica wasn't able to cope with the tragic death of original bassist Cliff Burton and took out all the emotional trauma on Newsted with endless hazing and tormenting. Even Kirk Hammett went on record apologizing for the band's treatment of Newsted, saying, "I hate to say it, but Jason became the scapegoat for all feelings that we did not know how to process. And in that day, I regret behaving like that and then taking that attitude. But you didn't know better. As far as the grieving period for Cliff is concerned, I think we all are still grieving." Hetfield explained that the much maligned sonic decision to turn the bass way down in the audio mix essentially came down to Metallica being burnt, fried, and having hearing damage. James says, "It wasn't all about F him, let's turn him down. We wanted the best sounding record we could make. That was our goal. We were burnt, we were freaking fried, going back and forth, playing a gig, no earplugs, nothing. You got back into the studio, your hearing is shot. If your ears could hear any high end anymore, you're gonna turn it up. So we're turning the highs up more and more and more, and all of a sudden, the low end is gone." So I know that played a bigger part on any hazing or ill feeling toward Jason. For sure, we were fried, we were burnt. Does he regret the decision all these years later? He says, nope. All this is after the fact, and it's like, who gives a shit, man, really? Why would you change history? Why would you all of a sudden put bass on it? There is bass on it, but why would you remix an album? You can remaster it, yes, but why would you remix something and make it different? So there you go. That's the explanation why there's no bass on it. They had hearing problems while they were recording it. So they kept making it high with the low end very, very low, and wow, that's weird. You know how, I wonder who else has recorded an album that ended up being kind of like weird sounding because of hearing loss. Anyway, that is a weird situation. I don't care if they add bass on it or not. I think it sounds fine as it is. I love it as far as the sound of it. I'm not a big fan of that album, though. I will say Metallica never wrote a song as good as Blackened since Blackened. That song owns. But, you know, I mean, I'm not the biggest Metallica guy, and really, I mean, I know a lot of people don't share the feelings on this. But overall, even though there's not a song as good as Blackened, I like Hardwired more. Yep, I know a lot of you all hate it. I think it's a great, great return to form. And then they kind of lost it on 72 Seasons. Sorry, can't get into that one. But, you know, I lost my love for Metallica. Well, I have always had my love for Metallica, but I lost my interest in Metallica through the years since, you know, the Black Album. I mean, there's a song here and there I like, but nothing like the first three albums and Blackened and Hardwired, you know. So, you know, it's a situation where a lot of people are complaining. Yes, there is a video on YouTube. I think it's called Injustice for Jason, where I don't know if they put the bass high or if somebody's playing the bass to it. And I listened to it and I was like, whatever, you know, I mean, it didn't really change my feeling on how it originally sounded. Can't say it was worse than the original sound, but I'm fine with the way that album sounds, man. But I will say, you know, when I was like the biggest Metallica fanatic in the 80s, you know, the Kill 'Em All and Ride the Light and Master Puppet. I was so into Metallica. Then the Garage days, I was like, damn, this is awesome. And then when Injustice came out and I bought it, I played it, and in my mind, it was, I don't know, it was like playing tricks on me. I was like, well, I'm sure it'll grow on me. That's what I said the first time. And then I kept giving it chances over and over. I mean, really, like a year or two. I kept giving Injustice chances. Then yeah, after 2 years or so, I was like, you know what, man, other than a couple songs, this ain't doing it for me. It ain't like the first 3 albums. And but at that time, just so all you new people that weren't around at the time, in the 80s, like all the way up to Injustice for All, nobody was loved more in Metallica than Lars. Lars was the person that everybody loved back then. Now everybody hates Lars Ulrich. But yeah, there was a time in the 80s where Lars Ulrich had the most respect from any member of Metallica, including Cliff. Cliff came later. After he passed away, now he's known as the person that everybody loves. But I refuse to believe that Cliff wouldn't have drastically changed with Metallica. Like, I can't say Cliff would approve of Load and all that stuff, but I think he would approve of drastic changes, because back in the 80s, Cliff was really the one that liked different type of music. He loved REM. And, he loved the Misfits and Thin Lizzy and Gary Moore. He loved all that stuff. And where Lars, James, and Kirk was all like, oh, it's got to be heavy metal or, GBH punk or stuff like that. They were very one-sided. Then they grew up a bit to be kind of like Cliff. That's why Cliff was so old for his age. He's so young. He was so young. And look at all this stuff he was into. While the other 3 were like me. I was the same damn way, man, when I was young. If it ain't metal, it's crap. That's how I was, man. Then, later on, stuff started getting... Now, don't get me wrong. I always loved Thin Lizzy. But, I became more eclectic. I started liking other forms of music as time goes by. But I always say, I do like different types of music. But it all takes a backseat to heavy metal. Always will be a metalhead. I want to hear from you. Leave your comments below. What do you think of the sound of Injustice for All? Did you like it or did you hate it? And to all the old people out there like me that was into Metallica pre-Justice or even during Justice, remember how Lars was the most loved out of the band? Now he's the most hated. It's hysterical how times have changed. But most people that hate Lars, well, no, I was about to say most people that hate Lars weren't around back then. No, but I think everybody that was around back then hates Lars now. But I don't. I'm not saying everybody. I'm sure there's a few of you out there that might leave a comment saying, I don't hate Lars. Yeah, but you're the minority like me. I really don't care. I don't think he's a bad drummer. I don't. I think what he does is very inventive. And, he's not technically great, but I don't care about technically, I don't like him because he's not like Dave Lombardo. Of course he's not, because Dave Lombardo is the greatest drummer of the Big Four, if you ask me, with Garth Samuelson. Just a little bit behind. And that's it. That's it for the only news that matters. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate every one of you. And I hope you have subscribed to my channel. But if you haven't, please do so. And ring the little notification bell. And like this video. Because it's good for the YouTube algorithms. So, stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em a gob. Bah!
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so nevermore shall we see you again.